But it was AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite, September 20th. This was the Grand Slam event at Arthur Ashe Stadium. First year was 20,000 people. They filled it up. Last year was, what did you say, 13,000 something?
I think so, yeah.
This year they said they had a late ticket rush because there was only, 6,000 or so out. But they sent MJF to do every bit of local publicity they could get.
He was all over local
Was
TV.
he everywhere?
Yeah, he was on Channel 2 the other day. All of a sudden, I'm watching the news at 9 a.m., the local news, and there's MJF with John Elliott, the best local weather guy, and Cindy Shue, and they're having a fun talk while he's just completely obnoxious and rude to them while smiling at them. It's great.
Well, they had a late rush, but the problem is the crowd shots looked like a darkened stadium set up for a half of a crowd. So did we ever find out how many people they legitimately had there and how far they managed to pull this out of the toilet?
I'll look to see if there's a number. I had heard a little bit about a late rush too, but I have not heard any number attributed to it. You know, does that mean 1,000 people showed up and bought tickets? Does that mean 5,000 people? What does that mean?
Well, and you know, we've talked about in the old days, in the territory days especially, your advance was probably, a third of your house at best, right? In spot shows, not even so much. But now, almost every ticket is bought in advance, and walk-up is almost non-existent. It's completely reversed. But they did have a good surge at the end there, whatever that is for them. But again, they had the building. You could tell the stage was big. You can tell that one end of the building was closed off. And I'm wondering again now, are they getting into a Texas Stadium Von Erich Memorial situation where they needed the stadium the first year? They had a great show. They made a statement, sold it out, big crowd in New York, the home backyard of WWE. But now going to it every year, and they got to hustle to get a half a stadium. Wouldn't it be better going indoors and saving the goddamn... I guess there's a roof on this too, but you know what? Going to a building rather than a stadium if you can't get more than 10 or 12,000.
And I'm seeing things here, and again, I don't have an exact number, but I guess word is going around from various sources that it may have been over 11,000 people in the building, which is an incredible walk-up if that's the case. And like I said, MJF was at the Met game. He was all over local TV. He was everywhere. It's a wonderful way to stay home for the week, I have to say. If you're going to just have to do that stuff, you get to stay on Long Island.
Well, but also he's the only guy that can pull that off, to go to that many different places with different kinds of crowds and different atmospheres and be able to still be himself but pitch the show and sell tickets.
And listen, he was the most over guy on the show, but I guess the other issue is if they really had 11,000 people there, part of the issue is it didn't look like it. I kept looking for a good crowd shot just to kind of weigh how many people were there. It was so dark that you couldn't really tell it was even a stadium.
Well, I remember that I thought at least that it was lit up the first year.
It was. They had 20,000 people there. They lit it up.
Yeah, but couldn't they light up half of it? And we look, here's half of our stadium. We got the same amount on the other half. Take our word for it. I don't know.
Do you think next year for Dynamite Grand Slam, since it is an annual event, should AEW team up with one of the local hospitals? And, they can have like their ambulances there to get guys right out. And there's so many hospitals in the area. They're always in competition. Their commercials are all over TV.
Yeah.
Should that be someone AEW looks at as a potential sponsor?
Well, that might, because that way it would save, get ahead of the traffic on the way to the hospital as the show goes on. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'm going to call some bullshit and shenanigans on a couple things. But